go.
Let it go. Lord, help me let it go.
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 Let it go. Lord, help me let it go.
Help me let it go. Yeah, let's get going. Let it go. Help me let it go. Master Jesus, let it go. Help me let it go. Go, 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 go. Oh, let it go. I'm tired, let it go. Give your heart to Jesus. Let it take control. Just sit and worship. I know it hurt you, and I know it's painful. No way to wait, so you have to let it go. Your best friend is not your secret enemies. Let it go. Your wife is getting married to another man. Your husband are falling in love with another woman. Don't let it bother you. I say let it go. If someone overlook you because you live in zero, if they insult you because you don't have nobody, if you say you will continue to be a zogo, if you say you will continue to be a prostitute, if you say you will continue to be a beggar, you will not marry, you will not bear your own children. If you say your need is borrow, Sunday go to meeting, mommy can say no, Johnny Ginger. Just let it go. Jesus will change your story. Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Oh, let it go.
Let it go. Lord, help me let it go.
Help me let it go, man.
Mighty blow. Holla, holla. Nobody do it like you do it. You a true God. Yes. You always hear me when I say my prayer with few words. But Jenna said, if they planted in this new world, be the power every day. That while I'm still a good God. Jehovah bigger than your problem, so just let it go. Just keep on praying, He will make a blessing overflow. To be the best and more the rest, you gotta pray more. The God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the God of mighty blow. But there is power in your blood. That while I'm giving praises, yes. I gotta dance that David did. They think I'm getting crazy, but love is how you make it better. May not be his day. Every time I sin, I on my knees. Begging God for mercy. Thank you for your love, blessing, and forgiveness. You solved my problem, Lord. You took me from the wilderness. Now only you can feel my struggle when I'm really stressed. So my papa bless me, then my enemy they get it best.
Well, good evening, folks. Welcome. I'm Alfonso Zienso to the Liberia Public Radio 10 Lpr-Tv. This is Lpr-T Live with the panelists. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners for this beautiful evening time. Music, I hope Music. I hope I'm calling this name here because I don't like to call people's name wrongly. But if that's the case, just let it go. That's the songwriter, Mr. Johnson Toba. Our man Joella Hernandez is right here with us, and Wallut and Daniel and all of the great people. Levi Barrett, who say good evening and welcome. This is the Liberia Public Radio, Lpr-Tv Live. A lot is unfolding. We're going to be having this conversation. Hopefully, you can also participate. Don't let us alone be in this whole phrase. It is also your phrase, you know. Let's let it go.
That sickness that devouring you, I say, let it go. The barrenness, pack your low and go. Living the life of joblessness, let it go. I say you spirit of suppression, let it go. Spirit of denial, spirit of depression, let it go, man. Oh, I'm tired. Pack your low and go. If you're begin, take your chemo, let it go. Your best friend take your horse, man.
Just hit the share button, folks, as we're about to get this program rolling this evening. I just hit the share buttons and invite someone at your company. Lattice of folding words of words. And what is awaiting the president upon his return? Is that a job, bare-bone, jawbone exercise, and politicians try to seek attention? Welcome, Mr. Something Nelson. Good evening, good morning, depending on your location. Let us go.
Take care of your husband and cheering fatherless. Let it go. Let it go. Mama, let it go, yeah. Papa, let it go. It is people, let it go. You borrow someone your money. Oh, mama, they don't want to pay.
Viewers and
You are
listeners in the USA, Liberia, across the globe, and right here, home state of the ocean state of Ireland. We want to welcome you to Lpr-Tv Live with the panelists. The panelists are here tonight to get the best out of them, to making a good political case, putting out a political defense of those people that they passionately support ahead of the 2023 presidential elections expected coming soon. And the heat and the conversation is on. Well, they are here tonight, as usual, to decide and have their case and have the conversations among themselves. And interestingly, it is always done in a safer context. Sister Goyo, who support the candidacy of Tiawan Gango, is known of someone getting into the political truth of the ANC. Delicate, soft-spoken, very much I contain, will always play a diplomatic role making the case. But the fireburn for the ANC is the guy from the far right, not my words, but labeled by the Labour Progressive, Samson Boko Brown to Amos George. He's a guy that is not willing, unable to hold back. But pageantry has added to this network. Dr. George Toto, who says it for me a political line, supported candidacy of Councillor Tiawan Ganglo has added pageantry to national conversation, to genuine conversation to this network. Unfortunately, the guy alone, standing alone guy, and always crying for of he being sanctions and not being a favorite, and even getting to the audience, is the Labour Progressive Samson Blackwood Brown to support the candidacy of Ambassador Joseph Boyka. But interestingly, he has alluded, he has made it known he's involved. So sometimes he takes a controversial position, and the audience and listener finds it very difficult. But that who he is, he's a laborer, he's involved. When someone is politically involved, a lot is unfolded. They deal with the present reality. I am Alfonso Zienso. I am your host, and the panelists are here tonight. Welcome to the show.
We don't only have a limited audience, limited to people who have data and have access to the internet, right? Now we're on radio, so we've expanded the pool of listeners, and because we in LPR are in the business of educating our people, what is political education or academic education or health education. Now we have access to a vast majority of the Liberian population that we can now interact with. And as far as the ambassador goes, I'm excited to hear what he has to say. I hope, and I know the brother is he's very smart. So I hope he brings some substance today, like he always does, and not just give us bare bones. But I know Louis Bryan. I know he's very articulate. He's a very smart man. So I'll be listening to hear what he has to say and what he has to proffer and how he all of those negative things that have been put out there about his selection. I'm hoping to hear from him and how he hopes to move Team Cummins forward and how they hope to move Liberia forward.
Good evening, folks. I'm Alfonso Zienso to the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. worries, and we have created a buffer zone with Major Jefferson Tambakoji, the lost mayor of the Republic of Liberia, the newly elected Secretary General of the ruling establishment, Congress for Democratic Change, COP, ANC supporter, Louis Gawala Brown, former ambassador. We created this buffer zone so that we stand that is a no-go zone there. That zone is being managed by the United Nations Peacekeeping Force. But the tensions is mounting and a lot is unfolding in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia ahead of the 2023 presidency. Okay, good evening and welcome. Somebody sending me a text that these guys, these media people, they like trouble. It's not our creation. That's the work of the politicians, and when they create these situations, we have to talk about it. We want to welcome our viewers, listeners, whatever you are. We say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you. Today is Friday, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God you are here with us. Thank God you are alive, and you are continuing to be alive because you want to see something good coming from in your country. But a lot is unfolding, and it is better that we have these conversations and not just only by us, but both of us, we should have this conversation. We will dissect what is happening in the political landscape in Liberia. A lot is unfolding. Everybody wants to be in the fry. Everybody wants to be in the picture. And I tell you, the analysts are coming. We're going to get their take. The liberal is here from Minneapolis. The guy who is hooking up with the lawyers. Is there any crime being committed? I don't know. I have no idea. Senator Darius DeLong of the Liberty Party is now asking and seeking inquiry if anything wrong was done. At the same time, Louis Gawala Brown and the incoming Secretary General, Jefferson Tambakoji, the Lord City Mayor of Monrovia, testing their strength. And by the way, because we want to maintain sanity, what we did, we created a buffer zone. Louis Brown be one side, Jefferson Koji be one side. Let Brown hold the microphone and speak. We took the microphone from the Lord Mayor. He's a sitting Lord Mayor, and let him illustrate with his hand. We don't want anybody trying it. But who is going across the borderland? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is Lpr-Tv Live with the panelists. I am Afonso Zienso, your chief anchor and host. The Liberal is here. Let me bring in Dan here and together. Please hang out with us here tonight, and we want you to also be part of this conversation. This is not about us. This is not about us completely. Believe me. It's about your country, and that's why we are coming. Let me bring in the town chief from Town, Grand Jida County. His support, is that just a boycott or Tiawango? Oh no, just a boycott. That's the Liberal Progressive. Let me bring in Sister Goyas, Carlo. He also support the candidacy of Tiawan Say Gongo. Surprisingly, I didn't see the broom. What is that doing? Where's that?
Oh man, I swear that's time again.
Yeah. I don't know what else to do with it. I don't know what kind of language or what else to do with this guy. Okay, gentlemen, good evening. Happy Friday. It's good to be here. Thank God it's Friday. And thank God we are here. And thank God to all of our followers, contributors for the we must give it to all. We must give it out to them this evening here for their commitment. Okay, gentlemen, good evening. The Liberal Progressive.
Good evening, Mr. So, and thank you for having us again. It's wonderful to be here.
Okay, Sister Goya, I know the teacher then they let her go beyond too much of plenty things. They can draw one test over 555 times. When they make the other question, they say, no, the student will get the answer to the question. And they go by again, retweet and restructure the question. But just one little article can cause the whole sentence to screw up. That's why I don't like no true or false business. Either the fill in the blank, the essay, you will write something and you can, you a teacher, and you can get a mark for it. Say, yeah, this guy is getting to the point. But that true or false, If it is not T, that F. If it is not F, that T. So I don't like that. Okay, my dear brother, good evening and welcome.
How are you doing, my brother? I'm fine. Happy to be on. I'm on another assignment out of state, but I couldn't miss this, so it's nice to be on.
Oh wow, what a unique way of giving back. Everything in commitment into whatever you do is very much key, because it comes to that sort of integrity to reliability, because people rely on you. Thank you so much.
So when my internet go out, when they Libra play with my internet go out, just know I'm using the people hotel internet.
So let me tell you guys, please don't touch that coyote again, for God's sake. Please, that Walmart coyote, please don't touch it. Can you put it on the deck?
The people with their internet go off on me, so the Libra are begging you to be on your good side. Don't blow the coyote.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Hine, don't talk about this guy coyote here, because then he'll be hard to contain. Thank you so much. Welcome, the Honorable William Congley. Okay, look, gentlemen, I don't know what's going on. It's just too much. We have the bidding affairs. If I say bidding, I'm talking about the usage of the CPP proposed rally, tire suffering rally. How many rally will be having in our country? Save the state, save the one, a tire suffering. Oh man, the drama is too much. But on the since Senator Darius Dillon is back in the fries. You guys listened to the interview, courtesy BBC. But let's give our audience the taste, and they have said no. I don't know whether there was any crime committed, but let's just listen and see who is adding who and who is talking what. Let's just listen to this.
Yeah, he is currently out of the country. He left at the beginning of November, and by the time he returns in December, he would have been out and away for more than 40 days. It has caused huge uproar, with critics saying it's irresponsible given the economic difficulties the country is facing. Senator Darius Dillon says he is going to raise the issue at Senate. But Mr. Weir's supporters and allies say the trip is all in the country's interest, calling it a diplomatic campaign to garner aid. So let's hear from the two sides. First, the senator opposed to the trip, Senator Darius Dillon.
The law here requires that when the president of Liberia leaves the country or has a reason to leave the country, he must inform the legislature, and that information should contain the purpose of his trip out of the country, the duration of the trip, and when he will return, and who will remain in charge of the cabinet in his absence. And we have a travel of ordinance here that says beyond 7 days, any public official, including the president, will have to be responsible to show his or her extension of stay out of the country.
So if they're away for longer than 7 days, what has to happen?
If you go beyond 7 days, you are responsible for your own per diem, hotel, and lodging and feeding, including incidental. If what you spend on your extended stay is in the interest of the country and you can show proof with documentation upon your return, then you can make the case for refund. As it is now, the president has not demonstrated to us that his extension of stay to watch FIFA football games could any benefit to this country. And so I'm asking the Liberian Senate to probe an investigation, to launch a legislative probe into the information provided by the president, because our information with evidence attached to it that the president misled the Liberian people through the Liberian Senate that the Paris Peace Forum was extended. Our information, which we attached to our communication to the Senate, has proven that the Paris Peace Forum in France was never extended, for which the president has extended his stay in Qatar to watch football games when it has nothing to do with Liberia.
So you're saying that the president stayed in Qatar for longer so that he could go from Qatar to Paris to the Peace Forum?
The president had written earlier to the effect that he was attending the Paris Peace Forum from December 9 to the 15th, from November 9 to the 15th, and that from the 15th of November to the 23rd of November, he will be attending FIFA World Cup as guest of FIFA. The president wrote a subsequent communication to inform the Senate that the Paris Peace Forum was extended the duration of that peace forum in Paris from the 9th to the 15th was extended up to the 18th of November. That information has turned out to be untrue, misleading, and for which the president says he's extending his stay in Qatar because his original schedule to be in Paris for the Paris Peace Forum was scheduled originally from the 9th of November to the 15th.
Okay, can I ask you this? It's just 3 days. Why is it such a big deal?
It's a big deal because the forum was never extended. So that means the misleading information must be investigated. We need to know at all times where the president of Liberia is, especially on a foreign travel. When the president says he will be at a particular place at a particular time on government money, and it is found out formally to be untrue, it warrants investigation.
So you're introducing a bill to instigate a probe into the president's trip.
It is a formal communication calling the attention of the Senate with reasons for which a probe must be launched, for the Senate to take the appropriate corrective measures where necessary after the probe.
Okay, so the president is saying that all these trips are to drum up business and support for Liberia, and that presidents do this kind of thing. They go out of the country to go and do business, to bring business back into the country.
How is watching FIFA games where his son is playing brings back anything to the country for over 15 days? How? Who's funding this trip? At whose expense? To what benefit to the country? Should we know this information? Should we know these facts?
That's Senator Darius Dillon there. And now, Mr. Weah's defender, Eugene Nagbe, former information minister and currently close advisor to President Weah.
Mr. President's travel was totally in the interest of the people of Liberia to try to garner support for some of the infrastructure projects that we are doing, and also to engage other world leaders. So that's the sum total of his tour. About this probe, I think the senator, as usual, is showboating. He's not going to table anything. But if he does, it will result to naught. The president, as a tradition in Liberia, informs the legislature when he's traveling and catalogs the extent of his travel and the purposes of the travels.
Well, Mr. Dillon doesn't deny that the president is going out of the country and might need to garner support, business, etc. What he's questioning is that the president has misled the country. Has the president misled the country concerning the Paris Peace Forum?
He has not, because the president visited to Paris each and every day. He arrived in Paris after leaving Sharm el-Sheikh at midnight, and then on the 9th, and then the Peace Forum started on the 11th, and the president stayed until the 18th. On the 15th, he has several other meetings after the forum. You know, the assumption by the senator is that once the first and second day of the forum is over, then it is all done. It is very misleading.
Something that people are particularly concerned about is that the finance minister said that the president is entitled to up to $2,000 a day for incidentals. For a lot of people, they feel that Liberia could spend that money much better elsewhere.
And this is why Mr. President does not take $2,000, though he's entitled to take $2,000 a day on our travel ordinance. He has not taken a cent. And every time the president travels, there is a fiscal out-time report that is done. And you can see that though he's entitled to that, he has not touched it.
So who's paying for the entire trip?
Some parts of the trip were not paid for by the Liberian government. For example, at the May Days Forum, to Morocco, it was fully paid for by the organizers. They sent a plane that took the president to Morocco, and the same plane took him to Sharm el-Sheikh. So it saved the Liberian people some money.
One of the things that people say is that the budget law is being violated here. The president is meant to have presented the budget, and he hasn't yet. The national census is in disarray. The country, they say, needs leadership and doesn't have it because the president, as far as they are concerned, is gallivanting.
The problems in Liberia that the president inherited that he is facing now has been so huge that he has to behave in a different way than normal. It's unfortunate to call a president who has now attracted over $175 million on one trip as gallivanting. You know, because of the president's power. The worst
Okay, folks, ladies, gentlemen, TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Thank God we have a doable exercise, something to talk for. That's what we look for in the media industry. Madam Koto, good evening, welcome. Thank you so much. Ah, man, you're ready in the garden setting. I love that background.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Pablo, the Christmas tree is up there. Please throw one gift on there for me. Just made a mistake to do it. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, good evening. Welcome. Koto, thank you so much for being here. This is something we really, really appreciate. And to our many viewer listeners, welcome. Showboating. You know, Eugene is a media guy. So now Abraham Darrus Dillon, Senator Dillon, is showing off. But that interview was quite interesting. And this is what I would like for our folks in the place there to always do. But sadly, to our officials, sometimes they don't respect the local journalists for whatever reason. Because we've been seeking, people been asking questions, how much was spent, how much this and that. They've been dancing around. But when you screw up with the foreign journalists, they know how they're going to take it. But they also like to balance it. They heard the side of of a senator from the opposition side. They take it to the government to give them fair share. And here we are this evening. Gentlemen, in the words of Lane Eugene Nambe, Maritime Commissioner, but now he is a senior advisor to the president. Remember, one of the trade, he was acting president, but now he's a commissioner and a senior advisor. He's a good communicator, by the way. So to be fair to mention that, we must give it to him. And that's where you need skillful people who can coin words perfectly to suit in the eyes of friends and other people. So let's start this conversation here. They say, well, lady first, right? No, let my sister. Please be nice to her here. We want her to stay. And I think that the liberal need to talk to on that one. But I think they will be together because she's a biker person. So hopefully, yeah, there you go, sister. So I think she's gonna be
Equality, no lady and gentleman thing there. So
okay, there you go. All right.
let
Yeah,
it, let
well,
it, let it
That's
go.
what that's maybe racing so they come out of boy you go
I play softball. I know these people. That man in a Kamajo suit, you see there? A hell of a man you're looking at that. Okay, guys, let's get a conversation going. Senator Darrus Dillon. And Eugene Ward said he's showboating. He's showing off. It means this thing not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do anything, even though the opposition's in good majority. And that's one of the questions that is pondering. So why things not being done? Why people are not being held accountable? So let's lay the basis of this. Let's start with the liberal progressive. Is Senator Darrus Dillon making a genuine case here?
Well, Mr. So, all I can tell you right now is, first of all, good evening. Mr. So, the liberal is on the floor. Wow. Good evening, madam. Welcome on Labrador Public Radio. We love to have you here. And the conversation is going to be a very good one as usual. This is what we do here on the liberal side of things. And I want to welcome Sissy as well. Mr. So, look, let's take this thing here quick out of the gate. And I'm not here to make friends. Ain't no kumbaya business here. This is a serious business that I'm on. And I will give my liberal view as well. As Mr. Eugene Namwe stated, and quite correct, this thing is going nowhere. Dillon, even if he go to take it on the floor of the Senate, he doesn't have the vote to do anything, to call for anything. Nothing. However, what Mr. Dillon has done is to elevate the conversation to the international level. So even if nothing come out of it in Liberia, if it's just muff talk, George Weah and his people, Dr. Weah that is, and his people are on record now. Pretty much the international community, people listen to BBC, they're listening. They give you money. And now people are accusing you of misusing the fund that donors give, the fund that you're supposed to collect from the taxes and things like that that needed to be used on Liberian people. You're using it on other things. Now, What Dillon's also did, cleverly, by the way, it's a political season. And the election is it's right around the corner. And I believe in politics. Once you put somebody else once you put somebody else's in the what do you call it, on the background or on bike heels on the defense, that person has a serious problem. Because instead of coming in the offense, they could first of all, in order to come up with a message, they're going to have to defend what the information attack or whatever accusation against them. They're going to have to defend that first, certify that before they can come up with the offense game. And sometimes it's difficult to do, and that's the interesting thing. But as far as Liberians are concerned, and this is nothing new. We've been saying it over and over. And I also want to say this here very quickly, and that is, Mr. So, in as much as this is going to be considered by CDC and sedition, who will put their foot in their mouth, they will consider it as a political season, and they will characterize it as being political. But what Mr. Dillon has done here by taking it to BBC, it's a very interesting one, and we're waiting to see it.
Okay. All right, let's keep it succinct. Let me bring in Cotto here. If you want to call, you just make it easy. Cotto, again, good evening. Thank you so much for coming. Look, there is an endless conversation. Every other day, something is happening here. Is Dillon on point here? Did he really get the consultation, you think, with his folks, and that this thing, they're going to push it, even though, like in the words of something told, it will not go anywhere? And I talked to a few people from the ruling establishment. They are kind of like scratching their head as well. They know very well Dillon is raising a point, but he said, you know what, it's dead upon arrival. In fact, it might not even get on the floor. But was that a good political calculation on the side of Senator Darius Dillon at this consequential time to kind of like open up some of the gaps, some of those things that are lacking? Was that a good strategy by him?
Ken, I want to say good evening to Mr. So, the liberal, Mr. To, and my brother, Segizi Goya.
Seze.
You see that you spot a lot of names, so you see how I'm calling him? Suzerana.
But I ain't sport the exact name there, Seze Goya.
Suzerana. Then you can put it English with Sese. Like, yeah, I want to say thanks, to be in your midst. And, politics, as we call it, is kind of an issue where somebody comes out to make throw a political point or to win a political point, And at this time, everybody trying to either gain relevance or hit particular issues or actually look at the reality issue of the Liberian people. And that's what I'm seeing here. But for the case of Darius Dillon, one thing, I supported Darius Dillon, and I don't regret supporting him because I know when it comes to raising our issue, and I can witness that he did it with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. It's not only, Josh Weah, he's doing it too. He had been critical on issues, even when he was working with the former vice president, the vice president right now, when she was then senator. He was there raising up issues with, salary issue of the staff there. And I think it is a political point for him because it's relevant that even if nobody else wants to do it, you be on the record that you took an issue with, especially with a president leaving a country where everybody almost is complaining of what is going on. And we yet to see whether somebody defending it to the point where we can actually understand. Because we see, like Liberal rightly said, they're always on the defensive. I mean, there should be the follower behind the president wherever he's going. Undertaking, you will see every progress that the president made, you see record on that, and it is taken to the news, and the people report these things. But up to date, we yet to see what the president is doing. It's like they say, what is the real truth about it? What is the work of the press secretary? Where is the work of the information minister? This is where they should have been. They don't wait until people start speculating before they come out to defend. And that's what I see is happening. The president is on a trip. We should be at least informed day by day activities that the president is going through. The president is having a meeting today, and there's like cattle law or artillery, given where the president events are all listed, that we know what the president is doing day by day.
Yeah, but quickly before I go to Sissy here, Koto, was DeLon, was he on point with his argument? Do you think that was the right thing he did?
Yeah, it was the right thing. He's dead. For me, it was the right thing. And like you rightly said, here we see people will go to investigate or to interview people. They would not have the counterpart, of that interview her. But you saw what's happened right there when they carry on the interview. They got the side of Eugene Nangwe and the side of Dylan. So, and to the point even that Eugene was trying to clarify issue, he was not even to the point. Is it true that the president receiving the amount that Dylan is accusing him of? We yet to know. Is it true that the activities that he said he was coming to America or traveling to Qatar for is still going on? It was still not clear. So Eugene is still not clear of what we want to hear as Liberians. The man is out of the country for 48 days. What is the daily activities that are going on? Then he asking the journalist, so if the person go this way and finish, they didn't finish their way and go back, is that anything else? That's not what we're asking for. What is he doing? From what point, where is he going? That's what we want to know.
Okay, that's what we want to know. Maybe Sissy Goya will have the answer here. But let me just add a little bit layer onto it, Sissy here. The journalist did a good work, but I wish it was Reuben White was conducting that interview, because Reuben White will push what his name is, Eugene Nangwe, who are those providing the funding, and he will perhaps to say, hey, but this is what the president is receiving. So who are the funders? Or just say some friends. Who are these friends? We don't know. So the action by Senator Darius Dillon. Do you think here? Let me flip the coins around here, and you can still respond to it based on the initial question here. Do you think one of these major political actors or the leaders who have taken to BBC perhaps to have done that interview and raised that alarm? I'm not saying they are not being talking about it, but do you think it would be a wise thing to have taken the major cable network like BBC to have had interviews to show their political strength?
Well, my sister, nice seeing you again. I hope you continue to come, because I didn't want to hang with these two, especially the liberal way out till today, just alone. But welcome. Look, the only animals that can tell us that the alligator eye is red have to be residents of the water. And so Darius Dillon is the rightful person to speak to the word about his perception that the president misled their body, because he's a member of that body. And so for a political leader that is not a senator, that was not written officially, that was not a part of the deliberation to have come up and say the president lied to the Senate, people will be asking you for a lot of proof. But when they crack up for another water and say alligator I read, we got to believe it. So the law is telling us that the communication to them, the president did not provide scope and sequence as required by the Constitution. And the president did not clearly lay out where he was going to be and for how many days. For me, that is a conversation that should be held by the Senate. But to a bigger question is, I think when you ask whether this is dead on arrival, Eugene Nangwe was right to say that. And the reason he would say that because he understands that Abochie is not going to let anything see the day of light that Darius Dillon is going to push. But here's the problem they got. In doing that, they forgot that in politics, dead bills are not necessarily dead. Floor speeches by elected officials that don't win doesn't mean they're dead. So Darius Dillon can make the noise on the Senate floor. They can refuse to pick it up, but you're seeing that the BBC is taking it up. And you can see that other world actors are going to take it up. So even if the Liberian Senate refused to act on what Dillon wants, Dillon would have already pushed the conversation way outside of the Liberian Senate. And I think the people surrounding the president have been misleading the president to his detriment. What was the intent behind not giving factual information about when the president is going to be gone and for how long he's going to be gone, when they know fully well that the Liberian Senate was going to be rubber stamped it anyway. So what was the reason that they didn't just lay everything out from the beginning? I really can't understand that. Because there is no way that the president would have said, I'm going before the 8 days, and here's what I'm going to do. You got few people who are going to make noise. The overwhelming majority was going to say, yes, okay, and you'll be gone. He lay out there while they're fighting, he'll be gone. But nobody will accuse him of not saying the truth to the Liberian government. But as it is right now, Eugene Nangbe, who should not even be the spokesperson for the president. We have a minister of information, Lejo Ureni, right? We also have a presidential press secretary traveling with the president. Neither of those people were qualified enough to speak on this issue. They had to go to maritime. This speaks to the dysfunction that we keep talking about, right? And Mr. Nangbe ain't trying to answer, quote unquote, the issue about the $2,000. Kind of put his foot in his mouth. Because if foreign governments or foreign nationals are giving gifts to the president, there is an act that requires the president to disclose any gift over, I think it's $200 or $300. So is the president violating our law? Are you putting the president in the place for people to charge him with violating the Liberian laws? Or do you want people to say the man receiving his just compensation and let's deal with that? So I don't think Eugene Nangbe, with all his gifts people give him for speaking, I don't think this is one of his finest times. I don't think he did a correct calculations to determine what are the force and against and which way should you go. If I were in that position, I would much rather the Liberian people understand that yes, we're entitled to that. The president took that. We might not use all of them. We might return some, but it is it is by law what is required to be given to the president. I am not really against that. It is in law that the president gets $2,000 per day. I'm not going to go say George Weah should not get it. That is his just compensation as the president. But for Eugene Nangbe now to come back with a whole thing about some of his friends provided this and that, now that creates it opens a whole different can of worms. Now we got to start looking at who are the friends, right? Okay. In the last piece, they ask you for $2,000 per day, and under the foundation was that Liberians are struggling, and you should not be taking that much money, and you only account for a flight from Liberia to Morocco, from Morocco to Egypt. Okay, fine. What happened to the hotels stays? What happened to all the other flights from Egypt? Because the president is not in Egypt. And if I remember, I heard him saying that the president has been in Paris each and every day. So he's going in and out of Paris. So who's paying for their flight? Because according to Eugene Nangbe, the flight was only paid for from Monrovia to Egypt by the French. And so he did not help the president. And this is why I keep saying Mr. President needs to fire a lot of these people. They are not serving him right. They are not giving him the due, just, and credible information he needs to lead his people. This is not right.
This is not right. I will categorically say if it were like in the US, it's going to be a big deal. Yeah, we have Mitch McConnell, who is doing now, trying to go after the burdens of some sort of wrong being doing, going to have their committee. But realistically, ladies, gentlemen, is this thing going to play out with the electors? The electorate is going to be the ultimate decider of all of this thing. Is anybody care? People are going to listen to all of this thing here. People made their mind tell you, say, oh, I'm going to vote for this person, when even the person has not presented any manifesto or why he or she represent. We don't see people asking opposition government. They don't see people. They look at things on the visual and say, hey, this guy is doing this, so I'm going with him. Does it matter? Anybody want to listen to it, or are we just having our blood pressures to go over the roof here? Is the electorate, are they going to make issue out of it? And how can the oppositions elevate this conversation here? In what context? Samson Tov. We're not hearing you.
I said the liberal, please. Samson Tov. This is the liberal. You can't say Samson Tov, please.
All right, the liberal.
Thank you. But anyhow, Mr. So, thank you very much. Look, in terms of the interesting comments Cesar made here, and the point he made about getting the president into problem by not truly disclosing, you know, if you're going to say, Frank gave you the, are you ready to tell? We've been on that route before. Like a whole plane came and PA in Monroe. The ice skate said, my friend gave it to me. Do you see any of the legislature lawmaker make any comment on it? So they know what they're doing in that place. There's no question asked. There's no question asked. They know exactly what they're doing. But in terms of this thing here, as to what are the electorate is going to, people are listening, far from it, far from it. And Mr. So, let me just say this here. I'm changing again. 2 weeks ago, I was on here saying that this election individual is good. I changed my mind.
Oh,
Individual, we have to have the combination. And we cannot, you go one-on-one, doctor, we are going to flock anybody that go one-on-one with it. Kumi, Bakai, together, we get it. Other than that, we got nothing. I changed my mind. I'm entitled to it.
How many times you gonna be
Mr.
changing?
So it doesn't matter. I'm entitled to it. I see the future, and when I see the future, based on that, that gives me an opportunity to say exactly what I want to do. I'm entitled to it. I can't be stagnant. I evolve, Mr. Soul. Things happen, I see happening, and that's what makes me a good politician, a good analyst. People love me. You know that. You know, because of my political views. People love my political views. So I'm just saying to you, Mr. So, I think if Ambassador Bakai, who I admire very strongly, I don't know them, they don't know me, but I admire him. And Honorable Kumi, who I also think that he has a great opportunity and I believe to be a good leader. If they don't come together, they're not gonna win it. Doctor, we are going to Monrovia. People are going to gather together. The support that he's going to see, it will fool people again. There's a video that going around. There was a young guy that Spoon TV field person interviewed this guy for almost 5 minutes. And this guy says so many things that many people in a places like Newtown, Looking Town, West Point, and things that comment they would make about CDC, which was the president going over, let's wait and see whether the man come by, he come by with anything, they all can make noise. But you don't even know where you bring in the basket here, they'll start making noise already. This is how our people think. They're not thinking because of his absence might also be some sort of a creation of people mind going somewhere else and all kinds of stuff. They're not thinking about that. Let's wait and see that the man can't bring nothing else can say. But you don't even know where in the mail basket here, they are coming to say. That's the kind of way our people behave. So the only way, Senator Dillon's point, which is absolutely correct, but I would, now that he has taken it to the international level, I would drop it. I won't even make that comment in the Senate because you're not going to do anything. You make that into a political statement. When this gathering that they're talking about, they're going to have, if the opportunity extended to Senator Dillon to make a statement, he can bring that up and let Liberian listen to him preaching about it. But you go to Senate, don't make noise. If you got no vote over there, you can. How about Chairman? I'm supposed to correct this. How about Chairman? You allow you to put on the floor, and then you're gonna be like Jacob Colbert. You just make noise, nothing happening. So I think that Mr. So the voters themselves, they're watching. If they see strong opposition, togetherness, then they know what they're struggling for. Then they know what they're putting their chips. You saw what happened with the strong opposition brought Senator Dillon into power. But a weak opposition, Doctor, we don't have to do anything. He's already popular.
Okay, I think that's a valid point here. Seriously, this is why the Liberal is saying Dillon should leave it as it is. He has done his part. It shouldn't go into chamber. And on the other flip side of the coin, his point, there is this narrative, and we had this conversation about this here again. There's people that envies the president. Seditionists will always say they're jealous, this and that, and all of that. We're hearing a couple of million or couple of thousands coming from the Saudi for discussion purposes. if the president returns and we see a Powerball number coming out to say this is what the president has received from his trip abroad, will that change the narrative? Because at the end of the day, politicians, talk show hosts, radio hosts, and all of that, we will talk and talk, but the voters are the ultimate deciders because they want to see if there's anything been perfected, it's been concrete, it's been seen, it's been felt. They say, oh, we told you this is what the work of the opposition. Everything this president does, they hate it because they do not want him to succeed. See what the president has come with. Even though he went for 40 whatever days, that doesn't matter again. They're not going to put that into the pictures. It's not going to be a talking point. So who is on the slopy ground here with this whole thing here, depending the outcome if the president returns?
So I don't want to be as cynical as the Liberal. I don't think our Liberian people.
What? Are you saying that I'm cynical? My point of view? That's what I said. You're nodding.
Can you wait?
That's what I said. The nodding Liberal cannot be counted, or you can't be. You're gonna say my point of view is cynical? Is that what you're gonna tell the Liberian people this evening?
You said the Liberian people are going to end up voting for George Weah regardless, and that's the cynicism I'm looking at.
Okay.
So I do believe that the Liberian people, the Liberian electorate is a lot more educated, a lot more informed coming 2023 than they were 2017, than they were 2011, and they were 2005, because you get more and more voters get added to the pool. And that diversify the thought process, that diversify what is important. But when you start to look at George Weah comes tomorrow, President Weah comes tomorrow, and he says the Saudis gave me $2.8 trillion. If the price of rice is still $17, and if you still paying people $45 per month to work at the ministry, that is not going to change anything. It is not. Samuel Twerk can sit and put all his graph stuff that he wrote on piece of paper, like Wile E. Coyote on those children cartoon stuff, and point it out all he wants, and talk about budget surplus and everything. If during Christmas season, Mama and Papa cannot buy Christmas clothing for their kids, if during Christmas seasons, these parents are used to proudly walk down Waterside and ask you, how much is this shirt? How much is this shoes? I need to buy chicken to eat, to give for my children to eat. If they cannot afford that, then it doesn't matter if you come and announce that the Saudis give you $3 trillion. It is not going to make a difference. But here is where I got to give it to the Liberal. I think the communication from whoever wants to unseat President Weah has to be sustained and has to be tied down to the Liberian situation. We have to stop talking to our voters in Liberia like we talk to our voters in America. There are two different voters. We have to be able to speak to our people on their pocketbook issues, right? And so, say, for example, President Weah comes back and say, well, I brought $8.9 trillion back. Saudi government said they're going to give us this. It is left with people who think that the president absconding his responsibility for 48 days does not justify that. To tell people, yeah, the borrowed medicine has not entered Lofa County yet. He left and went to the desert for 40 days and 40 nights like Moses in the wilderness. And while he was in the wilderness praying, his chief money bag holder got involved in a car accident on Lofa Highway. What happened to the borrowed medicine? We can talk about why it said that Samuel Twerk did not go to 14 General Hospital that has been advertised to the Liberian people as the state-of-the-art medical facility. So people have to be able to talk about those. It doesn't matter how much the president come by and say that was pledged to him. By the way, the president is not going to bring Ghana must go there with money inside. These are going to be pledges that are going to be paid over time. And so if inflation remains the way it is, if, by the way, the president can still not answer to the Liberian people why we gave almost $11 million in subsidies for rice price to be less than $15, but now we come and the Commerce Ministry is writing to say, oh, we agree that rice price should be $17, and they can't account for why did we subsidize it in the first place. And somebody's making $30 per month, and you're buying not a bag of rice, but a 25 kilo bag of rice for $17. It is going to be left with these people who want to unseat President Weah to lay it out and make their case. But if they're just expecting that President Weah will roll over and give them the presidency, they got something else coming. Because to unseat an incumbent anywhere in the world is very difficult. And so if they believe that President Weah and the CDC will just roll over and let them take state power, that would be a shame for them. But they have to be able to articulate the issues and let the Liberian people know why the president being away from the country this long was bad. Why, even if the president, usually Nangbe is saying they're bringing $170 million without telling us where it's coming from and for what purpose it is. Because state governments don't just give you money for free. They tie it to certain parts of their economy or certain parts of your government. So they have to tell us what are those money tied to. But you see the CDC, I got to give it to them. They tried recently to change the narrative, right? They're opening PHP. Even though PHP is not ready to be open yet, they're opening it. So they change the conversation about the president being gone for too long to say, oh, development is still taking place here. Yeah, PHP here, the waterfront. It is left with the opposition bloc to look at that PHP project and talk about it. Say, yeah, it's a good thing, but you have to be able to lay out the case to the Liberian people, and I think that is still lacking among the opposition political parties.
Okay, that is still lacking. Let me bring in Koto here. I also support the initiative of the opposition. So let me ask you, and we have had this conversation over and over, does the opposition have the capacity to fine-tune their message? Should they be focusing on what the president is not doing, then what they will bring as alternative to the president? I think this is a kind of seesaw. I think this is where they get themselves caught up in this whole thing here. All right, I'm not doing the right thing. You want my job. Should you be telling voters that I'm not doing and you can't bring in your idea? Should they be focusing on the failed policy of the president, or should they kind of draw the contrast? This is a difficult part that they are doing. Is that how should they navigate that?
Thank you, Mr. Swift. I somehow link with the Liberal when he said he changed overnight. Politics is not static. So that's why for me, when I'm playing my politics, I don't like party line. I don't like tribal line. I don't like, friendship line. Okay? So I try to eradicate all of these factors, in politics. Because in a twinkle of an eye, something will just change the narrative. Before you look, somebody can be,
I think we will be having a serious problem in this network. This lady is now forming a serious collaboration with the Liberal here. I predict that's going to be happening, but that's okay. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, I can change in the twinkle of an eye if politics is your interest. It is an ideology that you try to encourage other people to follow. So if that ideology fails, that somebody told me that I believe in that because of that ideology and they change, I'm going to change because it is that because of that ideology I'm supporting you. And if you change that, I'm going to change to somebody else who have that ideology. Politics is not static. I see people just tied to a political party to say, oh, I just like this man, oh, I like Liberal, oh, I like Mr. So. No, that's not what politics is. The politics is the interest. What is the Liberian people interest at this time? And like you rightly said, all of the noise that we're making here, how many of the people that we're talking about actually know what is going on? I think when Mr. Soul brought it out, there were people that were intervening. They don't even know that the president is out of here is against them. They don't even know. There are people who just say, oh, like a guy that interviewed and he was saying, oh, then the man Jeremy there because the man came in power with the young people that were able to sell in the market. So those people to change their mind, it takes a lot. And it is true that Goya is saying, you need to educate these people. You need to talk to them to know their relevance. They say you can only, encourage somebody or change somebody's mind when they know that they have done wrong, they need to be changed. But as I'm saying, Many of our people even know that they are in the wrong place. They feel complacent. Even as they don't eat a day, some of them don't even know that it is wrong for them not to eat a day. They are yet to do. Their children is not going to school. Many of them don't even care when their children go to school.
So then the question began.
Right at this moment, when my children are going to school, they're talking about the man taking huge sum that is going against their children. But they yet, no matter, I'm telling you, today, majority of our Liberian people don't know that it's against them.
So from all indication, folks, this seems to be a hard task.
It is.
The president is popular, no question about that. The president is popular, and there's so much attachment connects to his popularity, and other people see that it will be a gateway to their future time to come. This guy came from the slum. He was a footballer. He mingled with people from the IE, Barrow, and this IE Lone Star, and he rise to the highest top. So the possibility or the likelihood of a guy who is playing down Ghana Vape between those coconut trees and houses, you know what? This is where George Weah used to be, and see where he is today. So that connection, that kind of connectivity is somehow there. How can the opposition break through that gap? That's the challenge. Can they do that? Do they have that willpower? Are they politically tolerant? Can they be convincing? Stop calling them Tony sedition, start calling them this sedition, and have a real dialogue. Are they able? Can they do that effectively? Because CDC managed to put a war in place. And trust me, because I've talked to a lot of them, the idea of this hate, jealous, and you know, when somebody naturally tells you that I hate you, or this person hates you because of who you are, whatever bleach you bring, chloride or whatever acid water, it don't easily go away. Any other thing you do is being put through the garbage line to say, you know what, I don't care what you do, these people are not going to like you because this is what they have in mind. So it is a kind of deficit or stigma on the part of the opposition, even if they are making a good argument against the government. But the notion is there, the mindset, these people, they hate the president. They are jealous of the president. That's a difficult thing to overcome. The liberal.
Mr. So, yes, lady, welcome to the liberal. Yes. Mr. So, when the liberal open his mouth to talk, he's not just talking because he's from two town. He talk with political, you know what. Thank you, my young lady. Thank you for taking that view. And that's your view, and I respect it. And that's what I've been saying to. We have one more like him here. There's another guy that's going to be joining here maybe today or whatever time. He's a central right. They both of them. They're conservatives, and they like to stick with one position. They are not ready to move on. Now, Sese, on the other hand, he's a Minnesota politician, and so he's, we consider him a northern liberal. And then we have another guy here who is ANC legislature analyst, and he will be joining us as well. So I just want to give you a feedback of some of these people here. But let me go on, Mr. So. Look, this is what I'm going to say to you. The opposition, they got serious problem, and they are not quite ready. And it's not just opposition, Liberia as a whole. We got foreigners that comes in the country. They take over our technical area. Why? They're leaving us with the politics and the lawyering and stuff like that. Nabugugi, Magabugi, whatever his name is, he came in, he wanted to join into Liberian lawyer business. He wanted to get, that's not your area. That's the strong suit for Liberia. Ever since I was born, the law business in Liberia is not something for you to come here and you jump in. So most of the foreigners are smart. They come in, they say, you do your politics and your law business on that side. I'm going into technology. And then they start making money from that. Mr. Saul, the best way the opposition can take on Dr. Weah, who is popular. I've been saying this. Dr. Weah didn't come to the opposition because of his leadership ability. He came in, he was chosen, he was elected based on popularity. Simple and simple, nothing else. Dr. Weah, before this time, when you were in the Senate, how many times did I see you saw him standing up in the Senate making any statement? It's not the way he does business. He was elected because he was popular. Now, yes, another interesting thing that is happening. The people, CDC and their supporters, they will count on, oh, we built this, we brought the infrastructure, we did this, we did that. It's about time the opposition pick technical people to debunk some of these fallacy that CDC people are bringing up. They come out and say we build roads. Bring in somebody who has interest or who have ideas of building road and tell the Liberian people how faulty this road building business they have in their hand, that how they are. You attack them on that specific, every time they bring a specific thing, you talk about it. But what do they have? They got lawyers. They're going to court every day, Supreme Court. That Supreme Court will eat. They say the right price going up now. We're waiting for Supreme Court to eat? No, the rice price going up. Don't bring somebody economic person or something. Bring somebody from the store and bring somebody in the street whose job is to go buy food to feed your family. You connect those two people, the store selling, the person buying. You connect those people and have conversation about it. You will find out very quickly that this government is not up to task. But if we don't do that, we'll continue to talk for another judgment day. And Dr. Weah doesn't even have to go to debate. And I'm telling you again, if the opposition don't come together and bind together, Kumi and Bakai bind together with the help of the good counselor to take this thing away from Dr. Weah, they're not going to make it. Dr. Weah, you can go up and he can go and stay right now. You saw when his son's school go. You saw how it became popular in Liberia. Many Liberians were not able to criticize this young man. If you compare his father and his skill, father's skill and his skill, he got nothing. But they can't say it. Everybody, oh, our son's school go. That our son's school go, you will go behind and say the father ain't doing nothing. When people keep telling you the building, they're coming out with the fund from Middle East or from Kuwait, whatever it's coming from. They said they're getting ready to do Lpr Road. Lpr Road have been there all these years. They're coming to do phase 2. And I see Lpr Road cemetery almost got killed here the other day. They're not ready to do phase 2. So, but when you bring technical people to attack them, to debunk some of these fallacies, some of these false statements based on technical issues, we will be successful. But if you come in every day, lawyer, they got lawyer too. And Liberia, every Liberian, as long as you're born in Liberia, you're a lawyer. You don't even got to go to school. You're a lawyer. You leave from Liberia, you go to Guinea, they call you lawyer. You go to Ivory Coast, they call you lawyer. Anywhere you go from Liberia, they call you lawyer. Because that's what they believe every one of us do. So, Mr. Soul,
okay, let the guys take it on it, so we can take a quick break before we. Can we?
Mr. Soul, I have a question for you. Why is it?
I am questioning. Why would you want to question me? Okay, wait until.
I have a question for you. Why is it that tonight you put me on the right side and you put yourself on the left side, and now your picture is shining more than my picture tonight? What's going on? Why do we have that?
Oh man, I pray and pray he shouldn't go near power because he would be another horrible person.
I just ask you a question.
Thing your eye just going is so.
Besides the liberal doing he pay to play argument. Can I just touch real quick on this thing before we go to break?
Yeah, man. My goodness.
I've heard, and it's a good thing my sister brought that up here today. I've heard this a lot in our Liberian community about politics is not static. It's only in Liberia politics is not static. Because only in Liberia you don't have political ideology. If you have a political ideology, political parties will be static because they know what their ideology is. Hence, the people who follow them will be static. But in Liberia, people follow people, personalities. not political parties and not ideologies. And because of that, they can change anytime in the middle of the night. And that is a problem we have in Liberia. We have to educate our people to kind of start to build institutions, political institutions, instead of just building these political clubs that when Alexander Cummings does not participate, the ANC is gone. When Bwaka does not participate, the Unity Party is gone. With the absence of our councillor, the lead councillor from LP, from Liberal Party, when he's gone, Bromskin, the Liberal Party is in shambles. With the death of Samuel Doe, the NDPL is gone. With Charles Taylor being in prison, the NPP play second fiddle. I think if we have strong political institutions, institutions, not political parties and political playhouses, then politics would not be static. But the fact that we don't have that, that's what hampers our people. And that's what creates the problem for how our people vote in Liberia. It is because of the system or the lack thereof that creates this problem for our people. Now, having said that, the Liberal brought up something that I really want to touch on. That made a lot of sense. It's about, you remember when John McCain, the lead, was running against Barack Obama, and they had this guy, Joe the Plumber. Remember Joe the Plumber?
Yeah.
Joe the Plumber. This guy who was an ordinary plumber talking about his life. And they took over the McCain political strategy. Joe the Plumber. There were t-shirts everywhere. When are serious political institutions going to find that Joe the Plumber, the Mamere, the Maki woman, the Mankoto, the Kobosha woman, the everything that can come to speak to these issues? And unless and until they get credible people, credible vessels that these communications are channeled through, they become circumspect. So I had one of a good friend of mine, he's a seditious. I love him to death because we're buddies. We've been together since 20 plus years now. And he comes to me with this argument about the WIAC fees and free tuition as being a hallmark of an education system overhaul. Mind you, this brother is not an educator, but he's trying to convince me that this is a hallmark of an education system overhaul. I said, fine, I give that to you. Paying WIAC fees through through legislative action. Has it become codified in law that after George Weah, that happens every time? He doesn't know. Okay, so let me give you that. I said, but let's move on. Do you know that before you go to public universities, you must first go to public kindergarten and pre-K? You must first go to public elementary and junior high schools and the high schools. How are those? Because if the foundation is not laid, then how are you even worried about when people get to post-secondary school? They can't answer for that. And for a long time, the opposition political blocks have allowed these people to run with this narrative that somehow because the WIAC fees were waived, and so education system have been overhauled. So I asked him, I said, you just took Resetter in Liberia last week. What did the Ministry of Information do? What was in the proper agenda for development to ensure that people who failed the first test were going to be given access to remediation so that when they take the second test, they will pass? What was done? He said, oh, that one our business again. Oh, that your business again. How is that a sustained educational policy? But again, like to the Liberal point, because these opposition political parties do not bring people who understand this concept to actually have a pushback. I can go to a market woman and say, yeah, your child right now does not pay to go to LU tuition, but the fees are more than what the tuition used to be. And the break in semester, all of the hullabaloo that happens are now compounded. So is it worth you right now saving $20 and your child is taking 6 years to graduate LU versus you paying the $20 and the graduate time in 4 years? Has that helped you? You got to lay this conversation down so that people understand what it means to them. But for so long, opposition political bloc have allowed the CDC to run with this narrative that just because you pay WIAC fees, and so all of a sudden you laid an educational policy, an educational platform that's sustainable, which is not.
Okay, which is not. We're going to be going to Koto before we take our first break. Let me welcome a friend and brother. He's in the way, incumbent. Some says he's untouchable. The Honorable Sir Jose, he's going to be our guest this Sunday on the Liberian War today. That would be quite fascinating. But Koto, let's see here. The opposition is caught between the lines. It's like a piece of cloth between the scissors. Uh, George Weah, President Weah, he doesn't need to do that much. The opposition can come together. You have a battle ongoing. There is a battle hangs over what his name, Ellis Comment, ANC, Liberty Party wing of Bedete and that of Nyomdi Kanga. The probability of these people coming together, I don't even see it. It's almost going to be like all Liberian conference. Remember when Charles Taylor told these people, he said, "Oh, those people they're going to be arguing now because why? They are in the Craig Kingdom War. Everybody, Craig, when you put them in it for them to come out one at a time, when the other friend wants to go, they will pull you down. They all wants to be president. So Taylor said, you know what? They will be arguing, they will be fighting among themselves. And by the time they get done, I will be elected the president of the Republic of Liberia comes at the end of the day. And indeed, it happens. What is the winning strategy of the opposition? I don't see it. Their narrative, there are people that talk for them on podcasts, radio. They don't interpret the message of the people they tend to represent. And that is just it's sad. When you want somebody job, you have to bring in all of the attributes, you bring in attributes, good things that a person can do other than what they have. But when you're talking about somebody wearing $10,000 shoe, the ordinary person out there, who, of course, when our president and our senator, we're gonna call one ride. Everybody wants to live a good life, but the insult, the lack of political tolerance, when people come on their podcast, because we blame these people who are some around the president, but at the same time, they are doing the worst. Because when they began to insult people, when they began to call people names, when they began to black people because people disagree with them, somebody said, but wait a minute, this person here is hanging out with Lisa Boyka, with Ellis Coleman, with Tiawon Gongo. This is what they say we seditions are doing, but see what they are doing. So it looks like when they get there, it will be worse. So then that general concept is better to have the angel that you have than the devil that you have not seen, and you think that devil going to be an angel. What do they need to do?
Thank you, Mr. So. I've been one of those singing our song. I come from a native background, and from a father of wisdom who always said when it came to unity, they had a song they sing in Loma. Da bagebo adinengabe une goya will know that music. And they will sing this song, and the reason why they sing this song is to calm all of you down that are affected. When they should have calmed you down, then they come up with the issues, for you guys to settle. And that was a unity song. And when this issue of boycott and Kumen came out, I begged our women. I was just going in very inboxes, talking to our women. I'm begging you guys, let us just put this pride aside. Let's try to be the one to bring this unity between Kumen and the Omen boycott. I said, reason is some of them start saying, oh, Kume having money and Kume can go and support the Omen because the Omen ain't get money. I said, point. Kume having his money, that money he has that he could be taking to keep to do something else with it. If you say Kume goes on his own, he going to start spending that money and even overspend the money you think he has. So what I advise is, could let he collaborate with the old man, then have this resolution. It is not about how strong I am. It is about how I can win. And that's what it is. But people want to show that they are strong. The other person want to show that they have more money. And Liberia situation now, the way it is that I'm saying, and some of the inside, our ears are down, what we hear and what we see. It is not that way. And I've been begging from time immemorial that today some of our friends don't even speak to me again. because I brought up this idea, like let's try to come together and bring this unity. And I'm seeing it. If the unity is not there, I'm not saying we will win, but it's going to be a breaking pins down. It's not going to be easy. When you're talking to people, oh, you travel person, or because you are you from Lofa. I was from Lofa and I supported Darius Dillon. Darius Dillon is not from Lofa. I supported Ellie Johnson. Ellie Johnson is not from Lofa. So let's put this tribal thing aside and forget about tribal thing and see how best we can rescue our country. And that's what for me, I'm still advocating and I'm never giving up. Okay. I have never given up because I think that is the way forward. Let's swallow our pride and solve our problem. Because bringing up the pride now is not solving the problem. It's not solving it. Let's unite these people. I see people say, oh, it gone too far, it gone too far. Okay, it's never too late. It's never too late. This thing couldn't have come out. We have people in the opposition. Like, let me be frank with you. Musa Benete is there. His aim is accomplishing because he keep purpose there. It's not the opposition to destroy it. And I don't know. But for someone who know what it is, Musa aim is for that opposition not to hold because for him, it's doing him no good. He can live on innocent and survive. He still have his friendship with we are. He still has his friendship with the government. Have you heard one day that we have Musa Benete criticize this government? No, he has never.
No, thank God. Hey, Musa been having. I'm not sure what has just been done on the surface.
If you have seen Musa one day, and that's what we need. Because if these people are united, we're able to convince these people, these voters, to talk to them, to be able to change their mind. Because they want to see that unity. Right now, they want someone that they can lay their heads on to give them that comfort. And I think it is the opposition. So it's not late. Let's try to do that. I know my brother Goya will not agree with me because they feel, oh, Kume came not to be a second person. Okay, let Kume go one person. When you hear all the polls around Liberia, in every part of Liberia, Kume is not even second easily. Then you're talking about Kume will go alone and win. It is not possible.
Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
We don't only have a limited audience, limited to people who have data and have access to the internet, right? Now we're on radio, so we've expanded the pool of listeners, and because we in LPR are in the business of educating our people, what is political education or academic education.
Is a social network that always tried to do what is right, making information, conversation proportional, giving everybody the fair share. And what is interesting, we do now sanction voices, including the contributors and analysts, and even those of our followers. They all will express their engagement with one another. Disagreement is so civil, is so in the context of making sure that civility is maintained at all times. Not to mention the panelists we have, all of them, despite of their political pick, but the respect is there for one another. Sissy Goyot was senior contributors based in Minnesota. He does support the candidacy of Tiawa Mgango. He always
Evelyn's rolling here, folks, with the last minute time to go. So it's not just only the president alone, too much ongoing in the country here. Let me see here. Let me see. We created a good buffer zone, and I hope the Liberal is not messing with it. Okay. So Ambassador Louis Gala Brown, ANC, CPP, support ANC, but I believe MPP is still there. And Major Jefferson Tamba Koji, they are now in the fight. Now, this whole thing here is, should Louis Brown go there? The response, I'm hearing that he was in a major conference yesterday, and they are saying that they still want to use the facility. How? They give it to you, they say, well, there's a change in my different interpretation. But the both guys, they are going gutter with this whole thing here. Honestly, they are going gutter. They are going gutter with it.
He needs to be walking.
Oh, okay.
He should be scared. I owe him no explanation. I owe him no apologies. I don't expect him to be happy that Liberians are tired of suffering and want to express it. You expect Jefferson Koji to be happy? Those who have privileges and are abusing power are afraid when people want to speak to such abuses. But let me tell you what is worse. What leads to chaos is when people don't exercise that right to express themselves. That is what is troubling for democracy. I don't need Koji to tell me how to organize a peaceful rally. He has no pedigree. He has no experience, he has no capacity to tell anybody that just named here how to organize a peaceful rally. What he has proven he has is a capacity to disrupt. And I dare him on that day. I dare him, read it and report it and let him hear me clearly. There's a reason they are afraid of me. Tell that little boy. There will be a rally, a peaceful rally on December 17th. And he has no capacity to threaten anyone or disrupt it. I dare him.
There is a man who has kicked together a pastor and when the Nathan Chadier is so for the Southeast, he narrowly escaped death in this country. Allah, 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 when they wanted to kill Nathan, they were yelling. But then they were teaching together a pastor, instructing, asking the Nathan Kennedy head. God had to save Nathan Kennedy today living.
Okay, we create a buffer zone. We don't want anybody to violate our zone. So Ambassador Brian, the other side, the lawmakers on the other side. There's a reason that they are afraid of me. Tell that little boy. It's all started recently during the installations of the CDC new code officer. You know, it was a controversy when Louis Brown, ANC embraced Louis Brown, his ties with former President Charles Taylor, and that's what Koji is going. Was he successful going under the skin of Louis Brown? Do you think Louis Brown needed to go at that level? Retire suffering. We saw save the state. President come down. This one do this. What is the ultimate goal of all of these failed organized protests? I say failed because it doesn't yield anything. Nothing happened. They are planning to have this again. Is that what they should be focusing on now? Should Louis Brown be going to loggerhead in fight with Major Koji? Is that a face? Is that how you're going to get the face of the ANC? Is that a good strategy? And retire suffering. Is that what? Is that a CPP or the opposition or just group of selected? Who do they represent? Ordinary Liberians or people who are suffering? I still don't get it. The strategy behind it and what they intend to do.
So let me disagree with you that political rallies and peaceful demonstration by citizens have not yielded anything in Liberia. If anything, they call international community attention to what's happening. You saw the massive rally when they had that rally. Was that the June 9th rally or the June 30th, June 7th rally? It was massive. A lot of international organizations and international partners pay attention to it. So I would disagree that they use nothing. And so the CPP, the new CPP, actually listed the people and the political parties. I think they even have the Liberian People's Party as a member. By the way, our guy who came on the show here, who was with the PLP, is also a part of the organizing committee. And they also have a representative of the Yana Boy Associations also that's a part of that committee. So it's not just the ANC and the ability wing of the Liberty Party. They managed to bring even market women. I think the superintendent of Douala Market is also part of the planning
committee. Not to interrupt, should they, is Louis Brown? I know Louis is a louder guy. I know Louis Brown being in the vanguard. They are well crafted in getting immobilizing. We saw what they did with the NPP. But should they still be in the face of this, or ordinary like the Yana boys? Why not have different people to embark on such what appears to be a massive, if it is to be a massive?
So I listened to the entire press conference. Louis Brown is not even on the organizing committee. The chair is different. The co-chair, he's not even on the planning committee or organizing committee of the rally.
So why is he taking the podium?
But he was
which is quite correct.
Right. He was announcing it because you're appointing people. Somebody got to make the announcement of who's going to lead it, right? So he was announcing.
Be the one to necessarily do it?
Well, that's a whole different conversation we can have whether he is the right person to do that. But people will also argue is Mayor Jefferson Koji the right person to be making those public utterances? I would say no. And the issue of Mayor Koji at one point in time said it would be blood in the street when there was that plan for the rally. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And so Koji has been on record for always. Here's the thing I don't understand about the CDC, right? You use a playbook. You use it. They may use the thing they understand in soccer. You use a formation. A particular formation got you to the championship, and you won the championship. You really don't think that other coaches are going to be looking at that same formation to use it because they want to get a championship too? For 12 years, the CDC used protest as a weapon, as the only ideology and the only tool. And that got into the presidency. You think other people don't want to use the same tool too? So now when they come to use it, that's when it becomes a problem. You see, so is that quick to forget thing? I remember I was in Monrovia at one point in time when the CDC was demonstrating with a casket of Madame Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf, and they had paintings. They had it up, raising it that I was Madame Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf underwear. How quick are they to forget? Now that the other people want to protest, and albeit they're saying theirs is going to be peaceful, which the Constitution provides for that. How is that wrong? And the last time we had a conversation on here, I talked about the power of surrogates. You see, Louis Brown is a surrogate. So Louis Brown can go under the skin. I think you got it the other way around. I don't think Koji go under the skin of Louis Brown. Koji is an elected, is a government appointee who runs the city. He has more political power than Louis Brown. So as Louis Brown has gone under his skin, because for Mayor Koji to have gone to inspect a project in West Point, and for him to take the time to talk back to Louis Brown means it took away from his duties. The other thing is, I really want to ask a question. Is ERWA a part of the city of Monrovia or the city of Painesville?
ERWA?
Yeah.
Looking at the, unless there are a lot of
it is.
But I know it should be a Painesville.
It is in Painesville. So why is the mayor of the city of Monrovia interfering in the functions of the city of Painesville? Right? And then the other thing that I can't understand is the government brought this upon themselves. Now the die is cast. When we're in Liberia during self-time, we used to say, Bogo, we and splitting, fighting, they equal, no party. Now it's come to that point where they equal, no party, because the ANC/CPP went through the right process. They applied for a permit. They pay part of the money. The government accepted it. Now to come back and say, oh, you can't use the stadium. CPP, CDC say, yeah, CPP, ANC say, yeah, we don't want to use the stadium. We'll use the outside. Because your argument that Zoga Wilson gave was that there were renovations going on inside the turf and everything fine. The ANC said, yeah, we will not go inside, we're not going to disrupt that, but we still hold it outside. And in that same communication, they communicate and say they will hope that the chair of CDC will reconsider hosting a rally over there. So you're not canceling their rally, you're asking them to reconsider, but you're telling everybody else they can't have it there. So now the die is cast. They're saying that the ANC cannot have their rally there. And the ANC is saying we pay for it. We got our receipt. We're going to have our rally there. On that day, Babu Divakola. We'll be saying how to watch it. And there was a serious message sent by Louis Brown. He said the thing that happened on July 26th will not happen at their rally. That has to be taken seriously.
How do you understand that? What is the definition?
That's where the press people in the room feel they should have asked a serious question about what that meant. But the way I understood it was that their people are not going to be intimidated. That Liberia does not belong to one group of people, and Mayor Jefferson Koji does not hold monopoly over intimidation, and he does not control the city of Monrovia. He is the mayor of the city of Monrovia. He does not own Monrovia, and so they would not intimidate people with bodily harm. That's how I understood it. But again, back to your point from the beginning of the show when we talked about the journalists on BBC asking, I think the journalists in the room should have asked Louis Brown to further expand. But if I follow the trend of thoughts on what Louis Brown was saying going forward, my understanding would be that they were not going to be intimidated by the ANC, by the CDC, and that Jefferson Koji can say whatever you want to say. They're still going to have their rally.
They're still going to have their rally. Let me bring in the Liberal. He's involved. He's unstable. There's a lot of uncertainty into his talking point, which of course is a good thing there. The Liberal.
Yes, Mr. So.
You heard the words of Ambassador Louis Brown, and this is a frustration with some of our colleagues, their inability to follow through when people are talking. Politicians, advocates, whoever, people must be held accountable of things they say. He said, and he was instructing the journalists, tell him that little boy, what happens at the embassy will not happen. We dare you. So their words is used, and words does have consequences, like what we're saying, but nobody follow through. Now, if the government position or the Ministry of Youth position remains the same, that they are not going to use it, and still there's people go out there to assemble, who at the end of the day, who does it have a fight on?
Thank you, Mr. So. I'm taking a different view from that of my good friend and brother, Sese Goyer. And that is, I believe that the fact that Mayor Koji initiated a conversation by bringing Louis Brown into whatever it is they were talking about when they introduced their new corps of officers.
Yeah, that's how it started.
That's when Louis Brown. I thought Louis Brown would have just be a decent person, which he is, and not even mention Jefferson Koji at all. You're there to announce to the Liberian people and to the international community that you are organizing not a protest, but a gathering where Liberians will be allowed and have the ability to express themselves freely against the ill of the government, against the society from their perspective. But when you went at it and bringing in all issues that the government, I think those issues should have been brought up during the conversation or during the process where you were asked the general question when you have the podium. The last time when Liberian gathered like this here to demonstrate or to petition or whatever it is, this government and their exerted arms decided to attack people. And the government told us that they were going to investigate. Have you had any investigation at this time? And you will hear the crowd responding, no. However, Louis Brown went on that stage, announced the process, announced exactly what it is they want to do. But in the process of announcing, he put a challenge to Mayor Kochi and whoever that might have any idea of trying to deny them whatsoever. But when you do those kinds of stuff, and I think I truly believe, because having had Louis Brown speaking and looking at his temperament and what have you, I believe immediately after that, I truly believe within myself that he regretted the fact that he will come out and make these kinds of statements, knowing fully well that international community are looking at him, and he now want to be the face of the Komen movement, to come out now and try to throw a jab as someone we all know that he doesn't belong to be a councilman, let alone be the mayor of the city. We all know that. And I've been on this show here for many, many years. I mean, many, many times now, asking him to go back to school. But to elevate him, as far as I see it, to elevate him to calling his name and keep making reference to him, you're giving him some sort of a platform. And the other thing is, Mr. So, Louis Brown's statement now, from my perspective, I put Comey and his people in a bad book. If I was involved with CDC, and if I was involved with this government, I would give them the privilege to say, go and rally and bother nobody. Because by doing that, by you not even talking about denying them, let them have whatever area they want to have, let them have it. As what's his name, Minister Oka Wilson stated yesterday on the Sister Network, where he said, my people dropped the ball. Well, you know, your people dropped the ball. Let them have that issue and go on. But here's the main thing about my statement here that I want to make, Mr. So, and that is, if the government allow the protest to happen, two things. From my perspective, if it goes well, it puts Kumi and his people at a different level. If it doesn't go well, it puts Kumi and his people at a different level, but going south. And not only that, those of us that have been claiming for cooperation and collaboration, this will also demonstrate to the Baka people, if Kumi and his people go and have this massive rally, and their strength is determined from this massive rally, Wakai and his people will now see reason to now try and come along with Kumi. Another thing here is this. If Kumi and his people, now with Louis Brown making this kinds of statement, and if anything, if the government said, go ahead and have the rally, and if anything, just little thing happen, the responsibility that will be over Cummings and his people. How does Cummings come out? Does he distance himself from that? No. So we're talking Liberia, where they could start something, and who knows, somebody go and start riots or something in the street. Cummings and his people are going to be over there. They have no control over when anything happens outside of the riot. They have no control over it. And anything that happened during the rally, it can be linked to the rally. How do they come out to defend themselves? We're talking Liberia. This is the same country where Yaka Koluba, people inspected a car. When they took the car from that particular spot and take it to the police, go and show up in a car. This is Liberia. So I'm saying that the government, if the government want to say, first they have no reason now. If they go to court, they will flog them. They got no legal standing. I'm not a lawyer, but I will do my best and guess. If they go to court, the government have no standing. The youth and sport is an entity. It's not a farm where I can say, oh, I'm a farm, do whatever I want to do. No. You have a government, it's an entity that is operating, and you have within that entity, you have people who are responsible to do X, Y, and Z, and that responsibility was carried out effectively. And by even issuing receipt, they got nothing to offer. So give them the place, let them demonstrate, and you hope that things will go well. But if things goes wrong, you think they want Costa or Cousin coming here the last time, you think it's small? I mean, you think that's something? The next one, because Costa will start saying, I had June 7th and not a pin drop. Look at this. And that will be the song for Costa for a very long time. And that will also be the song for the Buckeye group.
So just 2 seconds real quick, Mr. So I really want to bring my sister in. Let me just change something for my brother here. Is he really saying that Louis Brown, who is not a party hierarchy in the ANC or in the CPP, was just named to be a part of a political strategy team, should not call the name of the Secretary General of the ruling coalition? Jefferson Koji holds more political stature than Louis Brown. So there's no way he can say Louis Brown. I would say Koji should not have called Louis Brown name, because Louis Brown is not Secretary General to the CPP. He's not Secretary General to the ANC. He is just on Team Commis. Mayor Jefferson Koji a fortnight ago was elected from being the chairman of the youth wing to now the Secretary General of the ruling establishment. And
but I don't mean to interrupt. I don't mean to interrupt. I don't mean to interrupt. What is the point, and what will be the benefit of you coming out and say, I dare you? Has Jefferson Koji ever give any indication that he's intending to do whatever that he's daring for? So when you make that statement, that's what I'm talking about.
No. Yeah, Jefferson Koji's entire speech, when the journalist asked, the journalist asked Louis Brown about what Jefferson Koji said about him. And Jefferson Koji said they have been using those tactics in the past to foment instability. That's what Louis Brown was responding to. Jefferson Koji's entire speech at the West Point did attack Louis Brown and brought up that. That's what Louis Brown said. What if they think that they already done? Enough is enough. What happened July 6, 26 will not happen at our rally. So he was responding in kind.
All right, let me go to Kotoya. We are winding down. Is like a double sword here now, and I agree with Liberal. I don't usually agree with him because of his he's too liberal for me. But he made a point. It is literally like a double sword now in the hands of Mr. Alexander Cummings. Yes, I do agree. Is the collections of different political parties, civil society. But also let's bear in mind, when Cummings names his 50-some or 2 persons campaign phase, 2 top persons on that campaign team, Louis Brown and Dr. McIntyre. And we had this conversation here, and we all bash and slam. Wait a minute. How can a guy who say you can't do the same thing over and over is now rewriting history? Bringing Louis Brown from the MPP wing, we know what happened. Breaking in what's his name, Daniel Chi, all of that, breaking in, and then how can he make the argument? Louis Brown now is the face. Well, I don't know how he got there, but announcing it, so meaning he's the guy. But the point of the liberal here, there's a defiant. No, you can't challenge the government, whether you agree or disagree. When the government say no, that's it. Well, you have the right to go and protest. But what we are seeing, when there is in the events of civil disobedience, in that case, how can he, Alexander Cummings, someone who is the face of his campaign, who will be the one to promulgate his message to the presidency, now is being tied off to some sort of civil disobedience? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. How can he navigate through that to explain himself? It's a tough one. And the guy's son, I don't know why the liberals and why he can't call his son. His son said the water with they and ANC has been poisoning. And you know, when something is poisoning, it's already contaminated. I don't know what what kind of chemicals they can bring to fix that water. The water is already being poisoned. So you know, he knows that. So I don't know where he's coming from. What do you think? Should they go ahead, even if they are denied to use that facility? Should they forcibly go ahead to carry on the the Retire Suffering campaign rally? Do you support that?
Well, thank you so much. I am completely different from all of you right now in this case. I'm
Oh,
going to be like, yes, I for the local situation where it is, if I were advised, I wouldn't even uh, stage and then protest now.
why?
My major concern would be how to win, my voters' mind. Because now the political grind actually need education. Many of our people need to be educated on the electoral process, how to even change their mind right now. Going right now for that protest actually really don't make sense to me, but I could be wrong. But I'm saying there are a lot of work to do right now. The delay with all kinds of things and the opposition right now, even at a lower end in winning these people's mind. What they actually should be focusing on now, leave this protest business and focus on the electorates. Focus right now on the electorate to see how best we can educate these people. For me, that's me, my personal view. If I were asked, I think it's not necessary. They should forget about the protest. But again, with the issue that is already uprising between uh, Jefferson Koji and then Mr. Brown, uh, I thought Mr. Brown shouldn't have gone that way, that route actually, because if he wants to be, he already in the party, they considering him somehow that Mr. Kumi made a mistake on bringing him on his team Kumi. Then coming up with all of these critical issues and actually going to be there, it's like they are going to be counter-acting, on the electoral process, which is not too good for me. My personal view. I think that was not quite well because we already know what they call him, Kuji. Kuji is the underdog in this whole thing.
Yeah, it's yeah, you're quite totally right. I don't know.
Yes.
Is Koji is the one getting on his skin. You remember
Yes.
Bruce Brown was here,
For me,
and
that's
we
what I
were
think.
asking him, and he said similar word in different contexts. The president, in fact, why is he using the word they are afraid of him?
Yeah, and he was emotional about it. So,
Yeah, there's some bitterness here. Louis Brown came from the another factions of the NPP, and we know the root, the attachment of the NPP, all of that, they are all involved in this whole liberation. Is it telling us there are a good chunk of other NPP remnants that are also supporting him? That could, if there was a violence there, that they can proportionally respond to that? What is he saying? Why should he say people are afraid of him? Well, we're going to leave it at hopefully we're going to have them and hear it from the houses. Let's do a quick 1 minute here to do a wrap up here for the evening.
and
And
I just wanted to end that point, before I go.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. End your
Yes,
point.
and I see people saying that the CDC was there, having these protests and things. The opposition don't have to act like the CDC. I mean, there is nothing to prove about what the CDC did. CDC is actually known to be in the opposition camp. They can function better in the opposition camp than be in the leadership role that they're in right now. Because as they are in a leadership role, it's like they stay in the opposition mood. So I think that's where they belong, in the opposition mood than be in the leader. So what you could be doing now is to get them out of the leadership and let them be there in the opposition mood where they can function like that in the opposition. Okay, for me, that's how I thought. Thank you, Mr.
Okay. Views, analysis, opinions expressed on this network here, and even the tweet, we provide a safer context where people will be able to express their views and their opinions. Folks, gentlemen, the old man on the wall now say it's time to go. But we gotta why you looking at your hair for now? Oh, why you say you want to say Joseph Boyka? Wow. Okay, guys, let's have our round table departure statement here, and then we can cut it there. So let me put it here and straight up. I want to do it like way by ELTV, Sherman Brown. You guys remember the Sherman Brown show, 10 p.m. Brown show? Yes or no? Yes. So let me start with you, Liberal. You are one of the controversial guy here. You are involved. One day you change, you chameleon, you changing color every day. How the weather comes, how you change, winter, summer, spring, and all of that. Should they go ahead with the retire suffering protest? Is that a winning strategy? Should they go ahead with that?
Yeah, for me, it's double-edged sword, to be honest with you. Yes, they should, to test their own strength as well. They should. They should, to see if their message, and it's going to be like a practice ground. Let's put it that way, and they can hone into their message that they eventually going to be delivering during their campaign. Let's test this. I just hope that they will be ready. The good come with the bad. They should be ready for that. They shouldn't
Firstly,
start shifting blame.
what's the flip side of it?
The flip side, if thing goes wrong, they should take responsibility.
Who they?
The ANC.
ANC, Alexander Cummings?
Exactly. The people who are organizing the rally, the first thing, I hope they know that our people, I hope they understand the capacity of our people. Are they ready for these kinds of, do they have the ability to stay peaceful in these kinds
so
of
here
rallies?
is the on-water question here, and I want to see if all of you to answer that. Is this political opposition, are they in support of this retire suffering?
I would think so. I would think so. All of them. I would think so. I would seriously think so.
Sister Goya.
Well,
this question here is this retire suffering, is Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, as far as you are concerned, and in consultation, do you know whether he's in support of it?
That announcement was just made recently, and I haven't talked to the councillor since the announcement was made to find out being civil. But here's the thing, though. I'm trying to understand the flip-flop on this whole civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is constitutional. Let's lay that out there. The Constitution guarantees it. The second piece is
it comes with consequences.
Yeah, but the Constitution does guarantee that. And the second thing is this rally, if you listen to them, is being confined to a particular location at the SKD, not anywhere else in Monrovia. And the government still has.
Can we accept that in a real time?
Here's the thing, though, Mr. So. The government still has responsibility to protect life and property. Their responsibility does not end just because CPP is having a rally. But to a bigger point, are the supporters of the Unity Party telling me that this thing that is being called right now to be held just at the sports complex is much more unacceptable than the CPP thing that was held throughout the principal streets of Monrovia when Joseph Boakai accepted it and participated in it?
Oh.
Is this the time now when the very what's his name, Senator Dillon said when they throw rock, we'll throw right back at them to defend ourselves, and people are not against that now. But when Louis Brown said that we will not be intimidated, that's when it becomes a problem. When Harold Costa can get on his show and call Jonathan Koji PPP mayor and say you can't do nothing to me, and that man is still a key ally and political confidant of Joseph Boakai, and that is not a problem. You see, we have to be fair.
But also bear in mind the water is being crossed. The water is
be fair.
We have to be very fair.
I can be you, and you can be me.
And the last piece, I get it. That's why I didn't say it when you're speaking. That's why I waited. That's why I waited. And the last piece here is that for us who have run political campaigns, everything is research. You look at what the last candidate did that got them to win, and you try to replicate that. So to say that the CDC did rallies and so they should not do that, that got them to the executive mansion. And in political, and here's the last thing. For me, I will hope that every political organization will be sitting and watching this as an action research happening right in front of you. Because here is where you try to see, does Cummings have the crowd? If he doesn't, then you calculate it in your own war room, in your political calculations. Okay, here is where he failed. Here is how we can go in to make inroad. Or or maybe he has the crowd. What can we do? How can we make sure that we take away from his momentum? That is what political parties should be doing instead of trying to discourage these people from exercising their constitutional right to protest.
Okay. Koto, he was very strategic. He said unity party. And this bad blood with unity party and ANC, I don't think this is going to go away, even if one is not member of the eight of the one here. But here we are. I wonder somebody can take a microphone to Alexander Cummings, Joseph Boyka, Tiawon Bongo, and say, where do you stand on these things here? At the end of the day, they are seeking for the higher office of the land. Do you want to respond to this? You want to make a live respond and maybe respond to this gentleman?
So good. I'm not speaking for a political party here. I'm speaking for myself because I'm saying it doesn't make sense. Not because CDC had a rally and protest, they won election, mean that you will do the same thing and win election. To me, it doesn't make sense. For me, I have my own strategy of how I win people over. During the 2011 and 2005, we had our way of strategizing for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and we won. We were in the underground. We were like the field guys in the military, Fort Soldier, and that's how we play our strategy. And we won the election. There wasn't any protest in the Unity Party or support of Ellen protesting to have Ellen to win. And so that's why from that point I'm speaking. No protest now. Ever protest if you don't have
Ellen was not in opposition. She was not in opposition.
Okay.
Well, okay. Whatever you say. But I'm saying that's not the right thing. Well, that's my belief. And it doesn't mean that because the people play that strategy. Find your strategy. That's what politics is. Look for your own strategy. People always say philosopher. I want to be my own. I want to be a philosopher. So I bring up my ideology and promote it and win people over to get my ideology promoted tomorrow. I'll be called a philosopher.
So let me throw the controversial one here in before we pack our bundle to go. If Kumi, Boyka, Tiawon Gonglo, if any of them doesn't speak to this, what does that suggest?
Mr. So for me, it suggests nothing. Simple as that. I mean, if they don't feel that they want to be part of it, it suggests nothing. The most interesting thing, I think Sister just brought it up again, and that is this for me. I would really like for the rally to happen. In as much as I have some misgiving because of my past experience with the April 14 rally when since it was still, you know what I'm talking about. So based on that experience that day and what happened and how many people, you know what? So I have that kinds of misgiving, to be honest with you. However, I also would like to have this rally happen because I truly want to see from my own eyes to see a Kumi able to pull crowd. I really like to see that. And that's the interest. That's the interest. But I'm also saying to the Kumi and his people, so we appreciate you doing this and we want you to do it, but be ready to take responsibility if nothing goes wrong. I mean, if nothing goes right. If things start happening, take responsibility as well.
So quickly here, you want to see the crowd.
Excuse me.
You've been saying Kumi should go on a boycott. So will the crowd determine the positions of Kumi? Whether he should
I might change again. Mr. So I'm not here to make friends.
Thank you so much for your time for this evening. Join me, folks, and to all our viewers, listeners, wherever you are, we want to thank you so much for your time this evening. Well, the race for the first branch of government continues. The conversations right here on the Liberia Public Radio. Last week was ANC Victoria Tola-Kwekwe. This coming Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. GMT, local time in Liberia. Cuban Senator Sir Joseph will be my special guest. Meanwhile, we are also extending invitation to Mr. Costa, who is expressing his thoughts of contesting for us to have a conversation. Up to present, we have not heard for him. Our lines still remain open. Guys, I want to thank you so much for your expertise, always the liberal progressive. For Saxton, Sacramento, he always involving. And our dear sister, Ty Cotto, will be helping out here from the Garden Senate of New Jersey. Thank you so much. And of course, legendary Sister Goya of Tiawonse Gonglo. Where's your ANC patron, Dulake? Where is he? Is he on?
I've been looking for that ball holder to that. I've been sending 10 messages. I don't think he's seen it.
Where your friend Amos George?
I let to be on the man when he's not here. I want to be helping him. Or he was going to be here.
I think they're really holding their breath on this rally.
Yeah, Papa, keep coming about the rally thing. Look,
okay, guys, thank you so much.
Let's wait and see.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys.
Kotu, good night. Thank you, Mr. Soul. Thank you, Cece.
Good night, guys. Good night.
Thank you so much, guys. All right, and to our many viewers, listeners across the globe, you're right here in USA, Liberia, other parts of the world. I'm Alfonso Z and Soul of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to thank you so much for sharing this Friday with us. This Sunday, I will be playing host on the Liberian War today. Senator Sir Joseph of MONSTERRADO County of the ruling establishment, incumbent senator, will be in the spin rooms of the Liberian War today. The program will be live on Sky FM in Liberia and television. Until then, thank you so much. Thank you for your comments, your engagement, the civil engagement, conversation. We usually go back and learn a lot from your interaction. Without you, we can't be here. All of these, we are having these questions, these conversations is about the good of our country. It doesn't matter which side you find yourself, whether you're in the opposition, you're with the government, ask them as well, whoever you support. Because 2023, you're going to be given the authority, a power of Anthony. You know what it means when your lawyer represents you. It means he's doing or she's doing the talking, she's making decision for you. And whatever decision that is made, it's a long-term decision, be it 6 years, 9 years, or whatever time. But we want to make sure we create the conversation, the civil conversation, to conscientize our people to be able to make good decisions, because your decision necessarily could not be my decision, but it could get us either above or below. And we do strongly believe all of these people, their argument, they strongly believe in the passion is there for the good of the country. But we just want to make sure we have this conversation. Thank you so much and have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
He can take you for the rock and roll good.
Your people are suffering, lying in the hospital, suffering from all kinds of sickness, Lord. Lord, help them. That sickness that devouring you, I say, let it go. That barrenness, pack your load and go. Living the life of joblessness, let it go. I say, you spirit of suppression, let it go. Spirit of denial, spirit of depression, let it go, man. Oh, I'm tired.
To our many viewers and listeners in the USA, Liberia, across the globe, and right here, home state of the ocean, state of Ireland, we want to welcome you to Lpr-Tv Live with the panelists. The panelists are here tonight to get the best out of them, making a good political case, putting out a political defense of those people that they passionately support ahead of the 2023 presidential elections expected coming soon. and the heat and the conversation is on. Well, they are here tonight, as usual, to decide and have their case and have the conversations among themselves. And interestingly, it is always done.